welcome to Family. We've got your back. We are in our basement. Woohoo! We almost have electricity in all the rooms.
Yep.
We almost have light fixtures in all the rooms. Some even have return covers or return air. No, what are they? Vents. Heat vent covers. And we'll wait for doors and molding. Curtains work, right? The bathroom has a door. And Tuesday it'll get a handle. Woohoo! We're excited.
Yep.
So anyway, we had Thanksgiving at our house today, even though it's Friday, because nobody else could make it yesterday.
Yeah.
So my side of the family came over, and it was wonderful to have the space for 30 people. Even though it's not a huge house, there was space for people to sit and be, and it was wonderful. Play games.
Socialize and
we had such a wonderful time, and people were friendly and kind, and treat each other with respect and consideration, and we just enjoyed being together today.
Yeah.
So,
except for the one kid, the two kids that came up to the mom while I was talking with her and was like, "I'm bored." I was like, so he sent him downstairs.
That happened?
It was off. It was stupid.
There was so much to choose to do, and yet they're like, "I'm bored." Oh my word. Okay, that's funny. I didn't know about that one.
Yeah.
That is funny. So
no, but it was still good. They came down and played Legos. It was fine.
Oh, Adam let him play it with his Legos. That's awesome. Okay, good for him. And they had room to be there and do it, and it was great. Adam was very generous, and that's neat. So yeah, it was a beautiful day, and that's what made it. That's why I'm so thankful today, and on our Thanksgiving Day. Because family is so important, and the relationships that we built or grew today are so valuable. You know, today will be memorable in many, many ways, and it was just a beautiful day, and it wasn't anything that specifically happened. It was just people choosing to love each other and be together. Oh, so grateful.
Yeah, and it didn't come with its non-frustrations.
Of course not.
There was so many angsty days in the last week trying to get ready.
Word.
And and I had to wake up at 5 a.m. so I could smoke the turkey.
Oh, yeah. Right?
And so I'm exhausted.
Right.
And it's presently 8:46. I could fall asleep. I did fall asleep.
He did fall asleep. I came home from Black Friday shopping in the evening because I worked this morning, and it wasn't really Black Friday shopping. It was like, oh, we need bread.
Yeah.
So even though it's Black Friday, I went shopping for dishwasher, soap, and bread, and curtains for doors, right? So that our kids could change their clothes in private. Anyway. Oh, gosh. Anyway, what are you thankful for?
No, I seriously just, I could not get over how thankful I am for our initial family and our extended family, because it was a beautiful, nice day.
It was. Everybody worked to make sure that other people had a great time, and people weren't selfish about it.
Very successful.
Very successful.
And the kids were good helpers. They upped their game,
and nobody criticized the mess.
No, yeah. It's like, there were still at least 2 rooms that were just train wrecks.
Right.
And
ours being one of them.
Yes. It's like when you spend all your time working in the basement,
piles happen.
Piles in your living space happen.
It's gosh.
Yeah.
So
and things neglected, so you can get other things done.
Yeah, we might actually be able to see our bedroom floor soon.
Yeah.
Well, because you cleaned it today. It might actually get vacuumed soon. Yeah. So, like, in the midst of, like, getting ready and everything, I'm like, why is this vacuum not working? So we're trying to, like, finish construction and vacuum all the floors and stuff. I'm like, what is going on?
Our shop vac works. We should just use that for all of our regular vacuuming.
Shop vac our carpet, right? So I flip it upside down, and the whole tube is just full. I'm like, kids. And what was the problem? A little piece of wire had gotten vacuumed up, and a Reese's cup paper. That was it. That caused the whole vacuum to clog. Yeah. And the problem festered, right?
Yeah.
They didn't just, oh, whoops, I vacuumed up something I shouldn't have. Let me fish it out. Easy, quick.
Yeah.
No.
It gathers.
It ballooned exponentially until it was like a disaster, right?
It's like those old cartoons where you start with a little snowball, and then it's like, then you have a thing that causes a car wreck.
Yeah. That kills
like you start with this little snowball, right? And all of a sudden it's going down the mountain, and then
Wile E. Coyote or whoever it is gets smashed against the mountainside by a snowball or whoever.
Probably Elmer Fudd.
Probably.
Because
anyway, and it's a outline of cartoon in the whatever that gets smashed against, right? And you don't want to be the cartoon on the face of the mountain, right?
You don't.
You just pack down that snowball as it starts to roll, and then it stops rolling, right? Like, oh, whoops, push.
Typically.
Right? And you're done. Like, prevent the avalanche, right? Prevent the amassing.
Yes.
Of the compounding the problem. That's what it is. Compounding the problem by fixing it immediately. And so this kind of ties into a little bit of what we were talking about today. And the word is actually guilt, but that's not what we're really talking about. So let's define guilt, and then we'll say why we're talking about it. So the definition of it is the fact of having committed a breach of conduct, and then it goes on to say especially, not exclusively, violating law and involving a penalty. So typically, sometimes when you feel guilt, it's because you have broken some sort of rule, right? You've offended in some way, some conduct rule, behavioral rule, right?
Yeah.
And then there's another, it says a feeling of deserving blame for something you've done or for offenses, right? This breach of conduct, right?
Yeah.
And so guilt has, in my opinion, gotten a bad rap.
Oh yeah.
Right? It's like if you shouldn't feel guilty. You can do whatever you want. Don't guilt trip yourself or whatever. I'm like, well, shame is different.
Shame is different.
Shame is like,
yeah, it's hard to differentiate.
Maybe I should have looked up shame, but guilt is good for you in that when you have offended a code of conduct in some way or trespassed that law or transgressed that law, it's your conscience
you to do something different.
It's your conscience saying you made a mistake. You need to not do that again. Mm-hmm. You need to change your behavior. You need to right the wrong you have done in whatever way you need to. Sometimes it's not possible to fix it, but you can make up for it in some way, right? And then not do it again.
Yeah.
Right? We're all
it's so interesting.
Given a conscience, right? We all have one. We all have a conscience. And the more we listen to it, which we've talked about in the past, the more sensitive it becomes. The more we ignore it and rationalize away our feelings of guilt so that we don't have to feel bad anymore, instead of changing what we've done to feel good.
It's so, it is interesting because we all have heard how bad it is to rationalize, and yet that's what happens in this situation. Like if you try to turn off that guilt, then soon you won't feel guilt for anything, and then your life becomes more difficult because it's harder to build relationships. It's harder to, at least meaningful relationships. You might be able to develop a community of people that are like-minded with you, but that's it. You're not going to be able to improve because you're always saying, "I'm good just as I am," and that can become pretty tricky because we need to improve. Yeah, and we can improve.
It's like you're in a canoe or in a river. There you go. That's the word.
A river.
Going upstream against the
current.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you are not making strides to improve, you are going backward. Right? There is no status quo. There is no paddling and yet staying on that same level. You either are moving forward or you're going backward, right? There's no homeostasis, I guess, is the word in life like that. It's you need to either work on becoming, you're always becoming something, right? Right. And whether you are working towards becoming a good citizen, someone
good
with character,
employer, right? Or a well-respected,
or someone who thinks of other people and tries to. I want to keep avoiding the word good, but that's what we're talking about today: is being good, so that you don't feel guilty anymore. And so, what we're actually talking about is a quote by a man named Ezra Taft Benson. He died many years ago. When I was a child, and teenager, I guess, and he said, "You can't do wrong and feel right. It's impossible." So I found that very profound throughout my life. And if you are feeling bad about something you've done, instead of it didn't matter anyway, or it's not that big of a deal, or they did this mean thing first, or nobody noticed, or I'm not going to get caught, right? So that you are trying to convince your conscience that it wasn't wrong in the first place, so I don't have to feel bad and change my behavior. Right. So pay attention when you feel guilt. It's your conscience trying to tell you something instead of trying to rationalize it away.
Yeah, on a lighter kind of note, I deal with this thing every single day.
Right? I dealt with it a little bit today too, and I was like, not me personally, but
I have so many students that they're okay with not passing the test, or they're okay with not learning the content as deeply as they should. And I'm like, sooner or later, whether you're doing the math thing or whatever, right? But there's going to be something that you need to build that capability within you that I can change for the better. And even if I don't really care about this thing that may or may not impact my future, I can change for the better. And so many of them are just trying to, they just come to class, try to get away with whatever they can, and they leave the class, right? And they're developing a habit of not progressing. And so I just hope, that they'll have some kind of reality check soon so that they can recognize, oh, I can improve, I can do better, and it's in my best interest to do better. You know? So I'm not talking about math, we're talking about building skills of overcoming things.
Yeah.
And it's such an important skill. Oh.
Yeah. So I'm going to liken our situation, what we're talking about, to something that happened yesterday. Like, you can't do wrong and feel right, right? Or, I mean, correct. So you eventually get to a point where you kind of are stuck in this nasty feeling situation, right? So we were trying to put I got beautiful couches for the entry living room. Well, it's an open floor plan is what we have. And so you come into the front door and there's the house. So I've been doing things to prevent it from feeling like an apartment, right? And more like Susan Suzanska or whatever her name is, the architect, that not so big house or whatever it's called. I can't remember. Sorry, I'm botching this. Anyway, so I put like a lockers by the front door so it prevents you from seeing the kitchen sink from the door. I'm getting to the point. Anyway, and instead of seeing these ratty old couches that our teenagers have wrestled on for years, that are loungy couches where we watch TV, right? It's the first thing you see when you knock on my door instead of my kitchen sink because of the lockers. You see these ratty old couches, right?
Yeah.
And so we were going to put them downstairs in the living room where we have now a theater room. It's not. It's a low budget theater room.
It's got a projector.
You know, a $50 projector. You know. Anyway, and so we were putting it. You know, the old crowdy loungy couches there, and then more formal couches that you wouldn't dare eat your cereal on, you know. While sitting on, there you go, you'd eat out of a bowl, not on a couch. Anyway, so these beautiful couches that I bought, right, and they're stiff and formal so that people behave themselves. And we measure, right? And the couch is wide enough to go down the stairs.
Just right.
Just right. Perfect fit. And then we get down a few stairs. And this is what happens. You see it hanging in the air right there? You see that sledgehammer and board right there as well? You see that? Oh, it's crooked.
Yeah.
Isn't that fabulous, right? So this is my Thanksgiving day, my actual Thanksgiving day, right as dinner time is happening. This couch...
We're thankful for sledgehammers.
And muscly sons that can use the sledgehammer and their muscles and weight and wrench.
Get it down the stairs.
Yeah. So anyway...
We did damage some drywall. But nothing
I bought some spackle
that
today.
Can't be spackled and repainted.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Couch isn't...
No news is...
Well, the couch is permanently a different shape, but it's still together. It's not broken. Anyway.
It's not broken.
But the point is that you eventually get to a point where you cannot go further in this line of rationale and behavior without there being a major consequence. Yeah. Right? Eventually, all these wrongs that you are doing and all the rationalizing you're doing to help yourself not feel wrong, there's a consequence.
Yeah,
and
it's pretty hefty typically too.
And it often involves being stuck in this awful situation, and you often don't know how to get yourself out of, right?
Right, and lots of angst and lots of soul searching when all you had to do is initially
make a better choice.
Go with with what your
conscience is saying.
Your conscience is saying.
Instead of ignoring it and rationalizing it away. So anyway, and the way out of it, because you didn't listen in the first place, but the way out of it now is to make a right choice. And if you soul search and listen to your conscience, if you haven't buried it so deep you can't hear it anymore, it will lead you. And we're saying the word "it" as if it's not a part of you.
Yeah,
it's a part of you. And so if you listen to the best part of yourself, not the I want a treat, so I'm going to eat it part of yourself. The best part of yourself, your higher brain, your moral, your value center, right? It's usually selfless choice.
Yep.
Typically selfless. It's typically
will build
taking responsibility for consequences. It's relationship building. It's caring for yourself and others. Type behavior that will get you out unstuck. That the sledgehammer and strong young man, for lack of a better object lesson, will be choosing better.
Right. Choosing
good things instead of the easy way or the selfish way. Right? So anyway, this week's assignment is to listen to your conscience. And if you are feeling guilty, figure out why and fix it and make a better choice.
Yeah. And
don't let it snowball or become a couch stuck in a stairwell. Hanging in midair.
Excuse me.
Oh, wow.
That was
I guess
that.
The dust.
Have a good one.
See you next week. Bye-bye.